Okay, great. All right. So I'm excited for today's video. Hi, Becky. How are you doing?
Hi. Doing
All right.
good.
So today we're going to be talking about how to choose the best and most trustworthy house cleaner to clean your home. And it's a little series we're going to do. And at a fair price or the lowest possible price that makes sense for you. And so there's basically, Becky, we've got 5 different milestones that we've covered, right? The first thing is if we got to make sure we make clear is if you are feeling like you've got a dirty and cluttered home, and overwhelmed and stressed about it, and you don't really know who to trust to hire,
Yeah.
especially if you have a home with a lot of valuables in it. You want to make sure that the person you have has integrity.
Yeah.
And you might even be worried about, viruses and things, and during these troubled times that we have going on right now. You might be getting ready for a party. You might be ashamed of how your house looks, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to, and even if you are do it yourself, or you probably don't want to do those wet rooms, right? Those dirty rooms, and
Yeah.
you don't have time and you want some help. So Becky's going to help us understand how you can help getting started. If you want to do your own cleaning, how do you get going and motivated to do it? And how do you end up with a clean and organized home? And or if you just want to be free from chores and feel peace of mind and be
Yeah.
stress free and feel safe about the process, and you can trust who's going in your home. And if you want to make sure all the wet rooms are, those really bad, nasty rooms are taken care of, and just free up more time to do more important things. Did I cover it all? I think I
I'm
covered it
pretty
all.
sure you did. Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the first step is we talk about is gathering intelligence or gathering intel or kind of doing your research. And I
Right.
guess you could start with asking friends and family, for
That's
recommendations. What would you say?
that's typically where I find most people start is they'll either ask around the office or um, look on Facebook and see, who they can come up with, and then they just kind of start interviewing. I've gotten some text messages, I just want to know more about your company, and that's basically how, yeah.
You get a lot of referrals, Becky. You get a lot of referrals from like social media where
Yes.
people will, in a group, like a Facebook group, someone will say, hey, I need a house cleaner. And then someone will just put your name in there or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Several times I have gotten, I second that, So,
What are some of those groups? You mentioned a few of them that are
um,
like regulars.
Snohomies, Lake Stevens Moms. There was a military one that we just heard about. I didn't even know about it. So, um, I don't know any of the other ones.
Yeah. And people just post and they
Yeah.
ask questions. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
So the first thing to do, I guess, is you would, if you're looking for, how to find one, you need to have a selection of companies to choose from.
Yeah.
And so you would probably ask around. I mean, that would be a smart thing to do most of the time. What about,
But we're not always going to be a fit for every family. So, and I understand that, I don't know that, the first couple of people that come in might be a better fit for that family. I don't know,
yeah.
but I would definitely at least have a couple of options to,
Yeah. So if maybe 2 or 3, maybe to
yeah,
get a few different options to choose from first.
yeah,
I bet a lot of people don't even do that though. They just, whoever's recommended to them first, they go with, or the
yeah,
first one they find on the internet, they just call them and do it. Just
yep,
go with them. Does that happen?
yep.
Is that maybe a problem though? Because then they don't even know if they're getting the right person, the right company, or a good deal, or is it better to have a few?
Um, I I personally would have a couple just because of how it would make me feel. But there's a lot of times that we'll not even meet the client and end up going in and doing a full clean on their house, and they come home and they're just floored. So it's gone both ways. It's just kind of your personality.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so then the next idea, the next step in the process would be, I guess, contacting those companies, texting them,
Yeah.
calling them, emailing them, kind of pre-screening. And I think you mentioned you wanted to find out their exact services they provide. And why is that?
I get a lot of inquiries, do you clean carpets? We really want you to clean carpets and um, upholstery, things like that. And like outside in garages and things like that. And we just don't cover that. And if that's what they're looking for and they're hiring us, they're going to be hugely disappointed. So we just can't provide everything, but what we do provide is very good.
What is the typical thing that a house cleaning company provides and doesn't provide? And the reason why I'm asking this is because I remember you told me one time, like you would get up and dust in certain areas on a fan, whereas one of the big popular companies didn't do that as a regular procedure.
Yeah.
So what are those kinds of things that you do and don't do, and what, compared to some of these other companies?
That's kind of hard because I don't really, I mean, I've only heard very little about other companies. Um, but I don't know.
Well, an example, I think you gave me an example of things that you go out above and beyond to do.
Yes.
What can you name some of those things?
There was one client that she actually was sitting at the house working. And one of the things that I just feel like has to be done is the window behind your sink. I mean, how much time do you stand at your sink, your kitchen sink? You stand there all day sometimes, and you want to look out the window, and you don't want to look through yesterday's dirty dishwater, And so you start at the window, you go to the track, you get all the dead bugs from the season, and then you kind of flip the blinds one way and you flip the blinds the other way. And if there's splatters, we just get them. And that does end up with me in your sink.
That's a really good point. I can see how that could get overlooked too.
Yeah,
And
very easily.
yeah. And then what about dusting? I'm curious personally about dusting because I'll hear people where they have somebody clean their house and they feel like the company didn't really do a very good job of dusting. Why is that? Why would they say that? I've heard that like 2 or 3 times.
Well, I'll tell you how I kind of explain it to my girls when I hire somebody new on. To me, there's dusting and then there's polishing, and they're completely separate. When you're dusting, you're going around with a feather duster, basically. Ours is microfiber, but you're going around and you're just knocking the dust off. You're not necessarily making it shine. You're just getting the rough edges. And then you, as you're going, have also the furniture polish, and we use paper towels, but you could use a rag. And on wood surfaces, you want to make those shine. If you've got a big clock, you want to make sure that the glass in the clock isn't speckled. You want to clean that. Just that type of stuff. That's considered polishing. So we try to get most of wood surfaces. We'll go to the extent of taking a nightstand and clearing it completely off, shining the nightstand, kind of gathering all the coins into this section and all the rubber bands into this section, and kind of make some sense of the chaos that can happen right there. And then make sure the lamp, the lamp around like where the bulb is, you don't need to wipe that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So the checkpoint 4 we had, the next point is to check for reviews or testimonials or references. I think that sounds like good advice in general.
Yeah.
Do you ever have anybody ask for references, or do they,
They usually have already done it by the time I'm seeing them in person or in their home. The only thing I know is that we've got really good reviews out there. That's all I don't know a whole lot about that. I haven't searched myself a whole lot. So
yeah, and good to get them. I know that you have a few on your website because I helped put them there, but they're glowing testimonials. So I guess you could have a company with a lot of bad reviews, and that would be important to look out for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know this is kind of common sense stuff but I think it's a good reminder though, because I think it's easy, especially if you're in a hurry,
Hmm.
and you want to just hire somebody, it'd be easy to kind of overlook this stuff, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Doing
Big
your due
time.
diligence.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would think about in terms of kind of learning about what's out there before hiring somebody? You know, is there other information you would look? Would you ask when you to call a cleaning company? What questions would you ask? Like, let's say you weren't a house cleaner, didn't have a cleaning company, and you were hiring one, and you call them up. What would be some questions you would ask? I'm really curious. I'm sure you would ask different ones than the average person.
Probably. um, I would probably start off with what do they supply, as far as product. And then I'm kind of a stickler because I love my vacuum. I had one client that sells vacuums, and so she was adamant we had to use her vacuum. Um, but typically the client will turn around after one or two visits. That one didn't, but after one or two visits and be ready for ours. So just what products do we use, um, and then probably moving into what details do they get into. The longer the clean, the more detailed we can be, and communicating that back and forth between client and us is vital.
So do most of them charge per hour or per room, or how do they do that?
I know that some places charge, I think it's by square foot. I'm not really sure. All of that just gets lost in my brain. At one point, I did try to research it and I couldn't wrap my brain around it. Um,
Hmm.
but we decided a long time ago that we're not in it to get through it as fast as we can. I don't want my girls to be rushed to get as many jobs done in a day as they can to make the most money. I
Hmm.
want to pay them hourly, not so they can just slack off and watch the school bus go by. I want them to be able to take the time, so pay them hourly, have them be efficient, but not skipping steps. Like your shower glass door, you got to get both sides of it. People don't think I got to get the outside just as much as I got to get the inside. And I don't want my girls missing those steps. So I pay
That's
it.
a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I'm sure every homeowner would agree. The quality matters more than
Yeah.
the speed. I mean, it's nice if you don't take all day,
Right.
but
Right.
at the same time, I think most people would rather get the job done right.
Yeah.
You know.
And to be honest, we don't want to take all day either. We're tired. We get tired. That's another thing that I like to do is, and it can be intimidating if the homeowner's home, but I like to bring as many people to each address as possible. And the reason is stamina, just stamina alone. Um, my girls are a little younger than I am, so they last a little bit longer than I do. But just stamina alone, if you're clean for 2 hours as opposed to 4 hours, you're going to have better stamina the entire time. So, yeah,
That's a
that's
good
something
point.
I like to do too.
And you mentioned you would ask if you were hiring a cleaning company. You mentioned you would ask what products they use. And why is that? And what products are you looking for? And
More than anything, I would be curious what they provide. Like, what do they bring with them? Do I need to provide anything, and will they leave it or will they take it with them? Just that kind of stuff. I love the fact that we come completely stocked. We know our products, we know how they work. Um, we're willing to try other things. We want to broaden our horizon. We I found one of the best products because of a customer. She's like, "You got to try this," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it is incredible!" And now it's one of the vital pieces. I take it everywhere.
what is
Um,
it? Can you mention
but
it? What
huh?
is it? What is
It's called Crud Cutter with two K's. Um, and it is the only thing. Okay, so if you think about your kitchen and the little grease splatters that come up above oven range, you know, up on the cupboard doors and all that. Crud cutter is the only thing that takes it off like that.
Oh, cool. That's a good tip.
It's incredible. There's a gal that I watch often, and her, what is it called? A catchphrase or something like that. She says, clean smarter, not harder. Duh. It is kind of sciencey if you think about it. If you've got this kind of a I don't know, oil, what's going to cut that? You have to find that and use that to cut it, because that orange sticky grease stuff doesn't come off with Dawn. You would think it would, but it doesn't. It is this crud cutter that actually takes it off. It's because it's the opposite on the science spectrum or whatever. So yeah,
Probably something to do with
scientist.
pH or it's acidity or something, huh?
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Now, okay, so that's one product that you said what they would bring with them. So do some companies bring everything with them and some don't? Is that kind of what you meant?
Yeah, I think some people expect that the client's going to provide everything, which I don't understand how they're going to know those products, how to use those products properly. You know, what if you go into a home and the one vital cleaning solution that you have, they don't have, or that you know they don't have, you know? How are you going to do your best work?
That's awesome.
I think it's, and it does make for several trips in and out of the car, but I would so rather do it than have to fumble through something I'm not familiar with.
That's great. So they have to, it's best if they bring their own product, the company does, and also that they know their product.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. Well, is there anything else we should talk about on this topic? Just gathering that intelligence? I think we covered everything, unless you can think of something else.
Something I like to say is that these people are going to come into your home, and you may be there, you may not be there. You may come home in the middle of what they're doing. They're kind of like a little part of the family. You know, they take care of you, you know, and it's one thing that drives me is being able to take care of people in a way that nobody else really can. I get kind of emotional because my regulars become part of my life. And they mean a lot. And I just recently have gotten a lot of the other side of that, them caring for us. You know, it's kind of like another family member in a way. So it's important to know what you're getting into before you get into it.
That's awesome.
That's all.
Great. So how does somebody get a hold of you or hire you, or if they have questions, if somebody wants to know more about this whole cleaning process, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
At this point is leave a voicemail. Most of the time my hands are busy, which if I'm in your home, you want my hands to be busy, right? And so if you want to call, you can leave a voicemail. If you want to send a text message real quick, that works too. Facebook Messenger is a good way to reach out. Email is there, but it's not quite as fast as the other options.
And that phone number
is though, during the morning hours, especially, the phone calls, just you've got to leave a message.
Yeah, and that phone number is 425-359-4347, right?
Yep, that's me.
Cool. And integrityhousecleaning.com.
Yeah.
All right, well, great. Thank you very much for joining me. I think that's good for today.
Thanks for having me.